Coming to you live from Amity Island, it's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I'm acting in the best interests of the podcast. So I've hired two contractors at $10,000 a day to record this show with me. First, he's not drunk enough to go out on a boat. It's Chris.
That's true.
And secondly, what are you? Some kind of half-assed astronaut? It's Andy.
I'm totally half-assed an astronaut.
I'm still not sure what he meant by that comment because it didn't look very astronauty. But anyway, these are the two chaps with me today to try and, I don't know, capture the podcast.
Me and Chris have got experience of being on a boat.
Have we?
I mean, you have to go with that anecdote.
Remember the trip that we were on?
Oh, well, yeah, I was ill that day. I couldn't do anything. Couldn't move. He stopped in the middle of the summer so we could jump in the water, and I was like, nope, if I jump in the water, I'm going to shit myself.
What's that? 1 minute into the podcast.
The hole that broke us all.
Right. We are a 10 Point Podcast. That's a little snippet of our random humour you've had there. That's what we're all about. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube. We are a video podcast as well. Get in touch with us, social media channels, everything, including podcasts, YouTubes, everything. We are 10 Point Podcast, all letters, not numbers. We want to hear from you. We want to hear recommendations. We want to hear picks. I think you've got, maybe a week and a bit until you can pick your next episodes to get those suggestions in. We'll add them into the randomizer for the fifth episode of the season, would it be? I guess it would be the fifth one. 10pointpodcast.com for all your 10 Point Podcast stuff. We have links to episodes, links to reviews, links to other lists and what's other bits and pieces up on 10pointpodcast.com. Head over there and have a look. In the last week, what has everybody been watching? Now, I think I'll leave Andy till last because I know he's seen stuff this week and he's very excited about it. I'm still weeks behind. I watched Birds of Prey and blah, blah, blah Harley Quinn this week, and I watched it and I did enjoy it. It's definitely better than Suicide Squad. And everything I've seen everywhere is it's similar tone to the new Suicide Squad film. So I'm going to be quite excited to actually go and see that, which hopefully will be happening this week after a couple of delays. But that is genuinely the only film outside of Jaws I've seen in the last week is Birds of Prey, which I get a thumbs up. Very much enjoyed it. And I'll hopefully report on Suicide Squad and others next week. Chris, what have you watched in the last week?
I'm the same as you. I didn't really watch much in the way of movies anyway, but I did watch the original Ghostbusters. Original is definitely the best.
Is that off the hype of the new trailer for the new one coming out, or was it?
A little bit, and my oldest daughter has been wanting to watch it for ages, but my youngest daughter is scared shitless of it. So she was staying at a friend's house, so we took the opportunity to watch it. And yeah, I think she got bored during all the, the talking bits, not the actual ghost bits. So she got a bit bored during that.
Not the busting bits. Yeah.
No.
Cool. Ghostbusters, I feel like there's always been a long shot of Ghostbusters turning up on the podcast at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Not saying I'm going to pick it necessarily, but I thought it might do. But Andy, you are our avid cinema goer, and I know you've been this week. So what have you watched?
So I went to one of these magical Cineworld secret screenings, and I was kind of humming and hawing about it because I kept trying to dive in, do what films are going to be, what's it going to be. And there was a lot of shit out there at the moment, or a lot of shit coming out. I was like, oh, God. And the biggest fear was I was going to go in, sit down, and it was going to be, I can't even remember the name of the film, but it's a bunch of random dudes that go to Japan for a record deal. It's like an E04 type film.
Oh, yeah. With the guy who was on Taskmaster.
Yes.
People Who Just Do Nothing. Is that what it's called?
That was it, yeah. I was like, oh, it's going to be that film. And then we're watching it, and it's like trailers, which never normally happens in secret screenings. It was trailers. But then there was these guys popped up on screen on the Cineworld. I was like, oh no, is this film? Another random trailer, because the screen was the busiest I've ever seen after the pandemic, and then just it goes black and it pops up with a little like thing that just said Free Guy, and I was like, yes, I get to see Free Guy early, and the whole cinema properly popped. It was brilliant.
They're like, yeah, that's why we're here, Ryan Reynolds.
Proper. And I'm not going to spoil it because it's like, well, as of recording this podcast, not even out yet. But there will be a review going up online. You can read that. However, my review of this film is, and it's a big claim right now, but I'm going to do it. It has a 5-minute segment in this film that is the best 5-minute segment in any film I've ever seen.
Ah, is that the Ryan Reynolds nude scene that I've heard about? Is that what that is?
Well, put it this way, it had me erect for that entire 5 minutes.
Oh, right.
So
I was just joking. I've not heard anything of the sort. I didn't realise that.
the best way to describe it in a non-sexual way, right? you know, Endgame when Cap picks up Mjolnir.
Yeah.
It has that moment in this film.
Right. Okay.
And it just like there was screaming in the cinema, there was cheering. It just went mental. It was
Right.
insane.
Cool.
So you have to go watch it just for that cinema experience because I've not seen people clap and cheer in cinema since Endgame. So it was
Right.
nice to
I
have.
can't watch that. It'd piss me right off. I don't like cheering.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was worth
Sit
it.
down,
I
shut up
almost
and
got up.
enjoy it.
Yeah, I almost got up. It was that good.
Fucking
I
movie.
almost stood up.
Yeah. Andy just stands
Yeah.
up. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was close. It was very close. So that's for a review of it. Go watch it. It's worth it. Ryan Reynolds, you can't miss. You
I've got
can't
a
miss.
higher review than that, I don't think. On with the purpose of the podcast then. Point number 1 on the 10 Point Podcast is what's the point? The point this week is the 1975 adventure thriller Jaws, brought to us by Universal Pictures, who did other films for us: The Burbs, Casper, Waterworld, The Mummy, Devil, and The Dead Don't Die, which I always like to name check whenever it comes up because you guys hated it and I loved it. Jaws, based on the novel written by Peter Benchley, who also wrote all the Jaws film series, or at least was involved in writing all of the Jaws series. He is the news reporter guy who's on the beach when it cuts.
I didn't know that.
Got a cameo,
Yeah.
along with Carl Gottlieb, kind of co-wrote the screenplay, as it were. He doesn't have much in the way of major writing credits. Otherwise, from Jaws, The Jerk, Caveman, and Dr. Detroit are the big ones. I can't say I'm too familiar with many outside of The Jerk there. The film, however, directed by a young fellow who I believe we've never done before, at the age of 26, directed this film. Steven Spielberg was the director of this. According to the internet, famous for Jaws, the Indiana Jones film series, E.T., Schindler's List, and Saving Private Ryan. Chris, I feel like you must have a Steven Spielberg film or two that you love very dearly. What's your favourites in his
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Without a doubt.
What about you,
that's
Andy?
the one I can think of.
Any shout-outs for Spielberg?
I don't know. I think he's overrated.
You do.
Controversy.
Anyone who is rated, you think is overrated, is right. But yeah, you can't deny he's been involved in some of the most massivest things ever.
I still don't know why he changed the walkie-talkies in ET though, or the guns to walkie-talkies. That annoys me.
Yeah, I feel like 80s family inverted commas movies were slightly different. That's why I had to go back and change them. As we discussed in The Goonies, which was definitely a children's film and had as much swearing as half the film. But yeah, Steven Spielberg, this was his absolute breakout role. He'd done bits and pieces. He'd done Duel, which is actually quite a good film that I quite like, with like a truck versus a guy in a car, like in a sort of horror movie, but more of an action kind of film. And then this was his big one. He wasn't supposed to be the director initially, but they got him on board to do it. The film stars, Jaws that is, Roy Scheider, famous for The French Connection before being in Jaws, and then he did All That Jazz, Blue Thunder, 2010, the sequel to 2001, Space Odyssey, and then he was in The Punisher, the 2004 version. He played the father of the Punisher, whose name escapes me at the moment, and they all know.
Which one?
Castle. Frank Castle, is that what you call him?
Frank Castle.
There we go.
Aye.
He played his father in the
The
2004
actor.
version.
I was like, yeah.
Not the actor. So that's Roy Scheider's. All That Jazz was a big one for him, along with Jaws. They were his big movies. Robert Shaw plays Quint in Jaws, famous for being in From Russia with Love, A Man for All Seasons, The Sting, and the 1974 version of The Taking of Pelham 123. He made all of that before Jaws. Most of his career came before Jaws because he died in 1978, which would just be 3 years after the film came out. And the last star, Richard Dreyfuss, famous for American Graffiti before he was in Jaws, and it went on to make Close Encounters of the Third Kind with Spielberg, other films, The Goodbye Girl, Stakeout, another Stakeout. He was in James and the Giant Peach. He voiced the caterpillar in James and the Giant Peach. Oh. Humorously, in his later career, he was in there's a 2006 version of Poseidon, and also in Piranha 3D as well, which you can see kind of where they got the idea to cast him.
That's my favorite film.
He played Dick Cheney in W, one of the George Bush biopics that came out recently as well. But yeah, lots of sea-based ones in his late career there, and a few comedies in there, as he's obviously the kind of comic
He's
relief.
a seaman.
Exactly. Jaws, on a budget in 1975, remember 1975, on a budget of just 7 million, however, in 1975. Opening weekend in America made 7 million, made its budget back on first weekend. A bit of buzz happened after that. Its final US gross in 1975, $261 million. Final worldwide gross, which I think maybe does include the last 50 years or whatever it was, $471.5 million. You can see why there was another 3 films made and fairground rides or amusement park rides and all that sort of stuff. It became a giant. It was the first blockbuster. Is generally what it gets credited with being the big first summer blockbuster movie. It was released in the summer, like I say, 20th of June 1975. Was initially meant to be the previous Christmas, but got delayed for the production and all that. Hence why it was
at Christmas, I don't think.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it feels like a summer movie, but typically back then, your summer films were your crap, and your big films came out when it was dark and people wanted to go out, go out to things inside, as it were. But yeah, it changed the game in 1975. Meant it was eligible for the 1976 award season, which we've never covered before. No MTVs by a country mile. No Razzies that I could find that year. I think it started a few years later. But the 1976 Oscars Best Picture, which we've never covered before, as this is the earliest we've done. Your 4 nominees. Your five nominees to pick from. I've got a wee bit of an explainer next to them all. So Barry Lyndon is our first one. Stanley Kubrick, what seems to be a historical kind of war film set as kind of ancient British war, not ancient, but like a redcoats kind of British war film. Dog Day Afternoon, Al Pacino, the legendary bank robbery movie. Apparently the one bank robbery film, every bank robbery film thereafter references in one way or another. And I've probably heard Dog Day Afternoon 100 more times than I've seen it. Like I don't think I've actually ever seen it the whole way through. But it gets mentioned a lot. Jaws is our next nominee. Nashville, which seems to be a political musical comedy. Didn't seem to star anyone too massive that I could see. It did star Shelley Duvall, who is the wife in The Shining. But other than that, I couldn't see much else out of it. And the last nominee, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I'm sure you're aware of. Jack Nicholson in a mental asylum. So Barry Lyndon, Dog Day Afternoon, Jaws, Nashville, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Best Picture, 1976.
Cuckoo's
I've only
Nest.
seen 2 of them. I want to say Jaws, but I think it would be One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Indeed was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Correct answers. Jaws got 4 nominations total, 1 for Best Picture, which didn't win. The other 3, it won all of them. It won Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Music, Original Dramatic Score. So it did win 3 Oscars, putting it up there with one of our successful ones. Yes, that bit of music indeed. And as you were mentioning it got 4 Golden Globes nominations, Jaws, and the only one it won was Best Original Score again. It also got 7 BAFTA nominations, and it won 1 award, and that was John Williams for the Film Music Awards. So yeah, nominated for a bunch of awards, lots of big ones, but music seems to be the winner. Editing
if I played that on a keyboard, I would win fuck all. Just saying.
Well, see, John Williams wasn't huge back then. This was his kind of breakout as well.
Exactly. If I remember being in music class, just playing with the keyboard, going do 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 do, and it's just like, nope. You were like, that is shit. That's not about music. Where's the chord? More shit. Oh, I'm playing these 2 keys for a while.
I used to do Jurassic Park. I used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
Quite a lot to that, isn't it? It's a lot of notes.
I can only go do 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 do. That's about it. But you can tell it's Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Star Wars is easy, and if you play that backwards, it's Indiana Jones.
That's right. Yeah, I've heard that before. Damn them copying and just using the same bits of music. Back on to Jaws though, I've got a synopsis by returning star Nick has written me a synopsis. Once again, I don't know what he has written, so I'm going to read this for the first time on the podcast. One short week before the annual 4th of July celebrations, Martin Brody, the new police chief of the small summer resort town of Amity Island, had reasons to believe that the mangled body of a missing young swimmer found washed up on the shore is the work of a predatory shark. Worried about the unsuspecting tourists, Brody insists on closing down the beaches. However, greed and Mayor Larry Vaughan get in the way of security, only to spark a series of additional bloody attacks. Now all eyes are on the deep blue ocean, while Brody, along with the marine biologist Matt Hooper and the expert shark killer Quint, hunt for the undisputed ruler of the sea, this slate grey great white shark that patrols the waters hungry for human flesh. But Can it outsmart the ultimate aquatic man-eater and escape from its massive jaws? Ah, he said the thing. There we go. That's what he wrote the thing, did Nick? It was my selection. My coming and go in the summer for me, but it's still the end of summer at the moment, and it's a classic. And I thought it fits my theme, and also it's older than everything else I've done, and I feel like it's going to be tough for me to pick a film before 1975. Like, there's maybe like 2 films that came out before 1975 that I didn't think about doing. So I thought this might be as early as I can possibly go. I'm assuming, but you can tell me otherwise, if you guys have seen it before. So Chris, have you seen it before?
Oh, definitely, yeah. This was also going to be in my theme. Well, both of my themes until I got rid of the first one because Andy guessed it so quickly.
Before we watched it.
Yeah.
Had you seen it recently, or had it been a while?
No, it's been a while since I watched it. At least a couple of years.
What about you, Andy?
I've seen this 1,000,001 times.
Which
I've not
channel?
seen Jaws 1. Well, yeah, I've not seen Jaws 1 for a while, but I was watching Jaws 2 and 3 in a hotel randomly on ITV3, I think it was.
Right. TV3, like this.
Yeah.
I have never seen a second of any other Jaws.
Oh,
Really?
shit.
Yeah.
Jaws
But
2 is not too bad, I would say. Jaws 3D,
Shut
well,
up.
3, and Jaws Revenge is a bit shit.
Which
They're
one
all
is the
shit.
tornado? Is it what Jaws tornado one? I might watch that one.
That's a
Spin off,
Wait.
literally. Yeah. Very good. An actual
Nice.
joke on the podcast. My God. Right, on to point 2. Well, we're hitting form. Point 2 is the high points. What we thought the best bits, things, etc. of the film were. My pick. I'll go first. I just got the first scene as the first high point. It feels like a full-on horror film. The first one because it's dark. You can't really see. And then I don't know. The shark full-on has a hell of a time with the poor swimming woman murdering her, and then the kind of light humor of the guy drunkenly falling more and more asleep
Yeah.
on the beach. I actually meant to write down some of the things he says are just really weird. Like I'm sure he's pissed and he's running on the beach. She's like, "Come on, let's go." I think at one point he just goes, "I'm running." It's like he's just mumbling on the beach. And there's one other line that I'm so annoyed.
I think I know what you mean as well. He says, like, I'm going to come somewhere and say, I just can't get undressed.
Yeah,
And he just collapses.
There's one really random out of context thing. While you guys talking, I might look up the script and see if we can find it. But yeah, that's my first high point.
I've got that as well. Do you know about the girl broke a whole bunch of ribs filming that scene?
You could tell the way she was thrown around, bloody hell.
Yeah, like the people had her rigged up and they were running along the beach and dragging her about. Because they were dragging her about that much, she cracked a couple of ribs. And then her screaming and shouting, "Oh God, please," were proper screams of pain. And then there's another one where this is like as they did to her dragging down, they filmed the sounds afterwards and had her with her head back and like practically waterboated her and just tipped water down her throat and said like scream and she's like blah, 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 blah. So she fucking went through it like.
I found what he says. The guy. Slow up, slow down. I'm not drunk. Slow down. I'm coming. I'm definitely coming. Wait, slow up. I can swim. Just can't walk or dress myself. It's like, yeah, it seemed really weird what he was saying. Anyway, sorry, carry on, Andy.
Yeah. So I was going to slag the start off, and now Chris's face said it was really good. No, the start is almost good, but I feel like they made the first mistake on any horror film. They spunked their load and showed the killer straight off.
They
They should never show the killer.
You don't. It's just her and water, really. Like I don't think
see a glimpse of him. I was like,
Wait,
I want to be like, if I'm going to go see a film called Jaws with a big shark on it, I want that could be a turtle. That could be anything.
Yeah, on title alone, yes, it could be anything that has Jaws. However, I think quite famously, its poster is like a 100-foot shark.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I just feel like I want to know what to.
I do enjoy the beginning of films like this, like we had with Alien. I very much enjoyed the beginning of everything's going well, but you know it's coming. It's the same with this one. You know, let's go play in the water, and you're just like, oh, you're gonna get so eaten when you go in that water. Like, I do love that kind of start to the film.
That's like my second high point is like anytime someone goes in the water, you just get really tense. You
Yeah.
know something's happening. You know there's something there, and you're just waiting for somebody to get like snapped in half or just dragged under. It's just you're waiting for it to happen.
Oh, you mentioned that there's the scene pretty much where the shark attack happens and he gets told to brush it under the rug, and then he takes his family to the beach the next day, which seems like a terrible idea anyway. But the scene where you're like, oh, who's going to get eaten? Is it the fat woman? Is it the kid on the inflatable? Is it the dog? Is it the couple playing in the water? And it's like, oh, which one's it going to be? It's going to be the kid? No, it's going to be the fat woman. And it's like, yeah, finally it's the kid gets it. I like that scene where it sets up all these different people that could be the one to get it. It's like you say, you just get more and more tense. Although I think the dog is, and it's for my stats. Did the dog get eaten? Like he lost the dog.
Gone.
I think so. Yeah.
So I'll have the dog in my death section then.
It wouldn't be one of our films without an animal dying.
Yeah, in our stats section we now have the 10-point podcast quotas, and one of them is the dead animal. Skipped out a couple of points I made. The next one I had was, does Chief Brody live in the same house as Charlie does in Me, Myself and Irene? Because it cut to his house, and I'm positive that they've gone to film Me, Myself and Irene in the same street, because it looks absolutely identical. But the one high point I had before we got to the beach scene with the ferry, where they drive the car onto.
Oh yeah, it's amazingly shot.
Yeah, the whole thing's one take, and there's like 8 people who all have to be acting and saying lines on a bloody moving thing. Like, it's incredible. I don't know what technology they used, but that scene was absolutely amazing. At that point, I was like, okay, this is filmmaking here. This is very good.
Yeah. This is kind of where like my high point. I don't have many high points in this film. However, one of them is how they shoot everything, like from being on the boat in the orca, that scene there, and even like when they're at sea and people are like, the camera goes under the water and comes back up and makes the bubbling noise. But it like clears straight away, and it's like, this is like 1974 they were filming this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it's like, it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It's a shame when films regress. It's like you make films that are similar but just not quite as good. It's like they could do it on a pretty low budget back in the 1970s. Like,
with technology nowadays, they could be able to make Jaws shot for shot with a proper decent moving shark now.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And I've seen Jaws: The Revenge. They can.
I think it should be like, say you were made president of America. Would you be like, okay, no one can CGI any films at all. Everything must be practical. You get your budget to make your film, and you make the film. None of this painting in fake sharks here and all that sort of stuff. That'd be one of my first order. Forget any sort of healthcare. Movies. Who's got another high point then?
I've got my high point before anybody else nicks it. This film, no matter how many times I watch it, and I always know it's coming, I still absolutely poop my pants.
Exactly where you're going to be.
Every single time, when a little dead head comes out under the water. I know it's coming, but it always catches me off guard how fast it comes out.
Also, there's like a screaming sound effect that's put in there. There's some sort of full-on horror movie noise to give you a jump scare as well, and it's like, oh yeah.
On the extras of the DVD, that is the one point where they weren't expecting people to shit themselves so much, and the whole entire cinema is just like fucking chucking their popcorn everywhere.
Every time it still gets me, no matter how many times I watched, even though I knew it's coming, I was like, right, I'm prepared. This twice as loud as I ever remembered it. I was like, fucking hell.
I read on the trivia that they added that after the test screening, the famous other jump scare where Brody's just chucking the chum over his shoulder and then the shark just appears right behind him. Spielberg said the audience reacted so well to that to be like, that he wanted to add that other one in. So he's like, oh, what else can I do? Oh, I'll put a head popping out the whole thing, and then like you say, the popcorn goes worse for that than it did for the shark in the first place.
I've got another one. It's a bit of a soppy point, but the scene with Brody and his son's copying him. It's like, that's why you have kids, to cheer you up when you're in a bad mood. You feel down. It's just
every time he can get his fucking kid.
I can't relate to this, but I love that Chris has got his little. Yeah.
It's like, even when you watch it, it's kind of like a nice calm moment when you realise people are getting annihilated by a shark around. It's just this one little calm moment of his kid copying him, and you're like, oh, that's nice. Let's go cut up on a shark.
Let's give it like, I don't know, like 15 years, and Chris' son is just being a terrible teenager, and Chris, when's he gonna move out of this house? This video, you loved having a wee boy.
What is the point on this podcast live while we're doing this, right? just so people are aware, Chris does have 2 daughters and never talked about them in any other podcast. But now the wee man, he's rocking 4 in a row about how the love of a son, a father and a son. It's just, what the hell, Chris?
That's because Brody had a son.
The daughters regularly in previous episodes.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, his daughters were trying to kill him, but his son, the father and a son, the bond there. It's every film. As soon as I can pick up a point, what?
We'll see.
It
It could be his team. It worked for
Oh,
different nights.
father and son, yeah. This is your pick.
My next high point is when the shark catches his fishing line when they haven't realised quite how big it is yet. I enjoyed the whole thing of him slowly fishing and getting all that and putting the hook the whole time while Brody's just trying to get this knot tied, and then finally the shark gets him and he goes, "I did it!" Just as the shark pulls the line away. I thought it was an amazing little scene of him just being so quiet, so gentle.
Nicola brought up a point with that. It was like there's no way a shark that powerful couldn't just rip him out that seat and take him over the boat.
Yeah, I think that was quite yet. Like I know that Hooper understands. Oh, it's got a massive mouth, or whatever. But yeah, no matter what, he wasn't winning that fight with his fishing.
Is when we get a proper introduction to Quint, he just before they go on the orca, everything he says is just to wind people up, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's just like you could tell like him and Matt Hooper, well Richard Dreyfuss. You can just tell that because he was just like taking the piss out of him. All it is like as much.
Yeah, they famously got on quite badly on the.
One point I didn't get about like Quint is he quite clearly says he'll do it for 10 grand. He'll do it by himself. He doesn't need any interference. Then when he gets the deal, he quite clearly needs all their help.
Yeah.
You've got to drive the boat. You've got to do this. You've got to do that. I'm just going to sit in this chair.
I mean,
Nicola made that point.
I don't think he's the most stable of individuals. I said at one point the boat was kind of in a bad state. With Brody's trying to radio for help and just comes in with a bat, just breaks the radio for absolutely no reason. Like there was zero. It's not like you're gonna wake the shark up if you do that. There was no reason for him to break it. He was just an absolute. I'm pretty sure at least 2 characters are alcoholics in this film, and Quint is one of them. And I'm pretty sure Hooper is as well. The way he was.
In between the scenes when Robert Shaw wasn't doing anything, he liked to have a drink, and he got absolutely bluttered before the next high point is them comparing scars and doing the USS Indianapolis story. He was fucking mangled. And they had to do it a different day.
Yeah, I saw that. I read the same fact. Yeah, my next high point is the USS Indianapolis story has to be, without leaving Earth, it has to be the most unbeatable anecdote ever. Like, how can anyone top? I was on the boat that took the atom bomb that ended the Second World War, blew up half of Japan, and then survived sharks on the way back. It's like, you can't beat that. That is the #1 anecdote possible, I think. But yeah, as you say, he'll try and do it drunk, and it was so bad, he went back with his kind of, I don't know, his hat between his hands. Can I have another go sober, please? But yeah, I thought it's a very long scene. He delivers it very well. It wasn't what I wanted at that point in the film necessarily, but it's the story itself is just a great story, I would say. Any other high points?
Bruce.
Me? Thank you. I get that a lot. Most episodes.
Bruce is my high point. I like Bruce.
Thank you. Yes, me too. I thought he had quite a charisma, did Bruce. Bruce was the shark. I'm assuming you're talking about that Bruce rather than me.
That's definitely not you.
No.
It's like when you do see him, he's pretty damn good for like being back then as well. Bear in mind they probably had this in like a bit of the sea and had to get all that shit out there and all that. It looks like a shark.
It does. There were 3. I believe I read there were 3 sharks. One where you couldn't see. One had like its left side you could see a shark, and the other side was hollow. Then the reverse, and then one had its teeth, its jaws that would open, and that was it. And they hated them because it didn't work, and you had to pull them by string and all this sort of stuff. They hated the sharks.
Famously, didn't work through the entire film.
Which, there's maybe a couple of scenes where you can tell that's just a big giant wooden thing getting dragged through water. But for the most part, it looks all right, I think. I've got 2 more high points. One is a small one. I really enjoyed them chasing after the shark. So when they put a couple of barrels into it, and then it just sails off, and then full speed in the boat chasing after it. It seemed like it was the most happy anybody is in the whole film was when they were gliding along, going full pelt chasing after the shark. I thought it was quite a joyful scene. And the last one is Quint getting eaten alive. Is a phenomenal scene, especially by that point. The shark's full on, I hate you guys. I'm gonna come and sink your boat and kill the lot of yous. And yeah, it just jumps onto the boat, it wrecks the half of it, and then Robert Shaw with his this is getting eaten alive. It's a great finish. I think that'll definitely come up in best nominations for me later on. Any others? Any other comments? High points?
No, not really. Not yet.
Right. We've hit the highs. We've hit the lows for point number 3. What we thought the worst things or bits were. Andy, why don't you lead?
I'll take this. I'll take this.
Mm-hmm.
There is way too right. This is about. Let's paint a picture first. This is a film set on a beach.
Yep.
Okay. There is always at least some fit people on a beach.
Uh-huh.
How did they manage to find the weirdest looking motherfuckers and extras on a beach ever? There's like a 90-year-old guy there with the biggest moves I've ever seen on the beach. And I'm pretty sure he's in 3 or 4 scenes. Any woman in a bikini is over 65. I think there was maybe one person under the age of 30. It was just such a weird. I know it's probably an old retirement beach, but I don't know, some weird casting. Well, you would get with that in today's age.
They have, I think, by my working out, they probably have cast it like that because they filmed in California. It's meant to be, it's like a fake New York, sort of New England kind of area, up north of New York City, but they filmed it in California. So I don't know if they have maybe cast people who would fit in a sort of rural beach town. I don't know exactly.
Moves.
Oh yeah, man must have moves aged 50 plus.
That's literally my low point. There was not even. I don't even think there was one 6-pack on that beach at all.
I don't think they had them back then.
Oops.
I don't know. I would have fit perfectly back in those days.
Chris, any low points?
Yeah, my first one is. Do you know when they're in that meeting and they're saying they're going to close the beach and say we're going to close it for 24 hours, and then there's this little voice going, 24 hours, that's like 3 weeks. No, it's not.
I've got a line before that. So it's the first meeting, the kid was eating the day before. The mayor says, Chief Brody, why don't you speak first? And Brody goes, I just want to tell you what we're planning so far. And the guy interrupts, what about the beaches, Chief? It's we haven't started yet. Literally, I will tell you what we're planning. And he just interrupts, what about the beaches? It's oh my God, what a dick. Let the guy speak. Yeah, not the most organised council meeting. I don't know what it was. Just random people in this room. Annoying people.
It's not really a low point, but it shits me up every time. Oh, well, it doesn't really. The same bit Andy was talking about. It doesn't shit me up. It annoys me. How did he lose his eye? Did the shark just climb out of the water and go like that? Yeah, and he his eye. And went, right, I'll see you later.
I had the exact same thought. I don't know. Maybe there's another kind of fish. Maybe go for the eye. Maybe that's what it be because he looked like he'd been there a while, but they acted like they'd seen him quite recently. So I don't know how long he'd been there.
They'd seen him either that morning or the morning before.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
Maybe it was
Maybe he got that much of a fright, his eye just popped out.
Yeah, his eyes literally popped out of his skull. Yeah. Very good.
But it annoys me because shark's just going to take his head off, not going to take his eye.
Yeah.
And he left quite a lot of the body as well.
Yeah, it seemed like the shark did not want to eat him. He just wanted to sink his boat. That's all. I hate you.
Boat, you're going down.
Yeah. And any other low points, Andy?
The general story it's a harsh one. However, every single part annoyed me because they've got a plan here, but then they don't have a plan, and it's just every single step of the way. It's just either the mayor's been a dick, which then blocks that plan, and then there's a shark. We've got the shark, but we're still going to open the beaches because we've got the shark, and then we'll get the people go in the sea. That was a stupid plan. It was just there's so many stupid plans. Everything you can name any part of this film, it was a bad plan.
Bad idea.
Yeah. You've put some barrels on a big fucking shark. You know he's a big bastard now. You've got a barrel on that thing. I know. Let's get absolutely shit-faced in the dark. We'll wait for the shark to pop up at some stage.
Yeah.
Every single part of this film was a bad plan.
On the beachy subject, I still can't understand why they just don't keep the beach. You're fine on the beach. Come up here, sit on the beach, have a sunbathe, go to the shops, get an ice cream, do whatever you want. Just don't go in the water, all right? It's like they've been fine.
People seem happy with that until they the mayor forced a friend to go in the water with his family.
And then everybody's like, "Oh, it must be fine then. Let's all go running in." That one guy, he's gone in. It must be fine.
There's no way I'd go in the water when there's a massive shark going about.
I know.
And they were quite deep, quite far out.
I remember swimming in like Egypt, best sea I've ever swum in, by the way. I don't like the sea particularly much, but I seen a stingray and I had flashbacks to Steve Irwin. So yeah, if somebody said there's a shark in there, I'd be like, I'm good. There's a jellyfish. Do you want to go swimming there? No, I'm good.
Just paddle the toes at the end. I'm fine, thank you very much.
A good couple of months period where there was no shark sightings, and I'd maybe think about going in the water again.
Yeah.
It's maybe a bit harsh, but I'm not sure how things work necessarily. So, is it the first kid that dies, Alex Kittner or something like that? So Mrs. Kittner, who she looked like she was a whale of a time anyway. She was before he got eaten. So he gets eaten. It's the day after. She's walking around all in black with a veil on. Is it a bit much? Calling out the chief of police in public while all like, "Oh, woe is me, my son died yesterday." But I can get all dressed up smart and walk out. It's not his funeral. He's still in a shark's stomach somewhere, and she's walking around with this veil on. It's like
that's a Scottish widow, isn't it?
It's not a widow though.
Something we don't know.
Maybe. My next bit of outrage was Hooper just walks in Brody's house, says, "Oh, the door's open." Sits down. You can eat that, and just starts eating his dinner. Like, poor guy. Like, fairness, he wasn't going to eat it, but it's like walks in the front door, comes down, eats his dinner. I mean, I don't know how they were pals after that.
I've got a couple actually. What kid likes coffee ice cream? Like the wee kid lying in bed, coffee. It was like, yeah, coffee. And I was like, who the fuck likes coffee ice cream?
No, there's something wrong with him. He's definitely someone wrong. He's got like PTSD from the
shock. He's in shock, that's why. My last, it's obviously a high point, a low point, sorry. It's just, I hate the fucking open ocean scenes because it freaks me out.
Yeah.
Like, you never know what's lurking underneath. I'm like, I can't go swimming in the ocean now because of fucking Jaws. But at least another couple of months until it's gone out the back of my mind.
It's pretty much had an effect on the entire population of the Earth. Like, one way or another, people don't go in the ocean as much since Jaws than they probably did beforehand because of this. I feel like it really opened up what's in there to some people.
Yeah. Also, like, because of this film, people went on a fucking shark cull and like just killed things because they thought it was going to eat them.
And a lot of it's wrong as well. Like, it's just it's a fictional movie, a fictional book, I guess. But, it's not true. Any final low points, Andy?
I've got kind of another one which kind of relates to my last point of everything being a stupid plan. Right. Maybe you can explain this to me because every time I watch it, it just bugs me. Right. Quint owns a boat and he's a shark hunter. He's got loads of shark trophies and stuff like that, right? However, the shark scientist dude quite clearly says there's not many sharks in this water. So why the fuck is he set up in non-shark infested waters?
Is it cause and effect? Has he killed so many that there's none? That might be what it is. He's so successful at killing them.
Or maybe he goes out far enough to get sharks.
But that boat was shit and probably can't go that far anyway. So
well, it was shit after the shark got finished with it.
Well, I've got to say, in the end, definitely. Yeah, it did seem like it was like wild open water kind of ship, was it? It wasn't the biggest.
No, and it seems like they've never had this problem on this beach before. There's no sharks. They've kind of, it's all been hush hush. But yeah, you go into his little shack, fucking sharks' heads everywhere. It's like, it's not shark infested. The guy literally said it about 5 minutes before they actually go into his place. It just always confuses me, and I hate that bit.
My final low point is Hooper's in the cage trying to jab the shark. It drops it like an idiot. But that shark has at least half a dozen full-on goes at the cage. And they still haven't pulled him up yet. Like, that cage is going like this, and like this, backwards and forwards. And then, like, no, absolutely not an inch of give of anyone trying to pull that back up again. And I thought they pretty much left him to die in that cage, I think, is my final
I imagine, like, Chief Rhodes is looking over going, That big shark's gone after him quite a lot. Think we should pull him up. The Quince was like, nah, fuck him. He's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's my last low point. I feel like they did not really know what they were doing with this cage, I don't think. Is that us for lows?
I think so, yeah.
On to point 4 then, on to our stats. I've got quite a few on here. It was low on the shits front, only the 2, and F-bombs 0 whatsoever. There were 30 soft swears throughout. I got that from the internet, don't count it myself, but kind of bastards and stuff like that, and asses and dams and all that. So there was a bit of swearing, but yeah, it feels like it should be a swear-filled film, but I guess 1970s might have had it a bit lower. 3 explosions, one of which was Jaws himself at the end. 8 deaths. I've tried to chuck in the animals, but the shark didn't actually kill that many people. Like the guy who was behind Chris for YouTube viewers, that guy who tries to help him out in the boats, he just got his arm and his leg off, but they didn't actually confirm him being dead at any point. But yeah, 8 deaths in total. One I counted for this film only. 14 times does Andy's favourite bit of music start playing in the film. the classic Jaws theme. It starts 14 different times, so I didn't kind of every time. I was going, how often does it actually go do? I thought, I'll count it in. First time I played, nah, it's too many. I'll just do each time the music starts. Andy says it was the first scene, but it's 1 hour 20 until we see the full shark. We actually get
that was my stat.
1 hour 20, and then the shark itself. 4 minutes of screen time is all the shark has throughout the 2-hour film. As I mentioned, the 10-point podcast quotas. Dead animal, yes, a dog at least, and 2 sharks at least. Was there peeing in the film? I feel like we normally have somebody urinating. I don't think there are any, but a lot of people are in the ocean.
Well, yeah, a lot of people like pissed themselves when they saw the shark, because I would have.
I thought we might get.
The guy who fished at the start.
Was there? Oh,
No.
well, he was fished. Yeah, good point. I thought I was positive we're going to get Quint going off the side of the boat at some point, but we didn't. And
World.
I would say normally paedophiles. I think that guy who did try and save the boys in the pond might be the closest we have. There was something not quite right about him. But no confirmation of any paedophiles in there. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't
I forgot to mention this. Do you know when like the sharks on the beach, they're in the beach, or that the guy just like shoves his kid off a lilo and steals his lilo?
Yeah.
Away.
Yeah, was it his kid or was it someone else? I don't know.
He's like, fuck off, this is my lilo. Die, little shit.
And then finally, did they say the thing? Did they say Jaws?
No, they didn't actually.
They didn't, because Hooper even talked about the size of the mouth, but never actually mentioned Jaws. So they specifically stayed away from saying the thing in Jaws a bit unfairly. I was going to count how often they said shark, but they said that quite a lot in the end.
I did 76 times.
There we go. Chris got the high one this time. Great minds think alike. I'm glad you did it, because I gave up early on.
There's a point where it was like shark. I was like, fucking hell, I have to go back and watch this again.
Any others from you, Chris?
No, you took my other one, you bastard.
Sorry. Then Andy, I'm not sure how you're going to fit this one in, but I say that every time. Do you have a most pornographic?
Well, I've touched upon it, but it was trying to spot out the beach. Nope, there's a lot of moves on there. Not enough of good titties to see. No 6-packs, nothing. So, however, I did find a great pornographic scene, and it's one it does tickle me every time. And you've mentioned it before. It's that great one shot on the ferry. It's so fluid. It's such a smooth motion. It's perfect. It just works. I love a good one shot. So that's my best pornographic scene in this film.
I have put that down as it's always good. Oh, sorry, never not good. But yeah, a long one scene is a one shot scene is also never not good. Awesome. That's the stats, I would say, unless anyone else has hidden any up the sleeve. On to point 5, the 10-point podcast quiz. I'm the quiz master. I remembered 30 minutes of Jaws. I was the quiz master. So this is not the best quiz of all time. Andy says he's forfeited already. You only get 4 questions each because it was quite hard to not give easy or obvious questions or too easy or too difficult. So I've kind of tried to go middle ground. They're not the easiest or the hardest, but good luck with them anyway. Who wants to go first? Who's due to go first? Anyone want to go?
I'll go first.
Chris, I'll go first. Chris, question 1. Who sponsors Mayor Vaughan's car?
Okay, the mafia? I don't know.
It's a bit of a trick question. Vaughan's Realty sponsors his car, as in we see his car driving by and he opens the door. It's got an advert for his own realty company on it. He sells houses, apparently, does the mayor. Andy, What did Quint do with the blackboard before he scratched his nails on it?
Nothing.
Draw a picture.
This one wasn't a trick question, but I had this question phrased differently. So no, he didn't do nothing. When everyone walked in, the blackboard was blank. There was nothing on it. Then that annoying argument happens about what was going on. And it cuts to Quint doing that, and there's a drawing of a shark with a little stick man in its mouth on
Why
the
has
blackboard.
the shark got a horn? It's like a unicorn shark.
I thought it was its fin. I thought it was maybe just
Well, there's a fin to the side, but there's one poking out of his forehead.
maybe it was I don't know, like a swordfish shark. But yeah, I
You
thought
big shark.
he sat and done that. That's what he's done during this meeting. It's draw again the day after the first person's killed with a shark. He's drawn after someone getting eaten by a shark. So still 0-0. Question 2 for Chris. Who does Hooper work for prior to coming?
The Ocean. Ocean Geographic, something like that. I don't know.
Oceanographic Institute.
Ah.
Okay, Chris is not accepting that. I was going to give him it. He's not
Nope.
taking it.
Not
I
even
can't
close.
say it. So it's quite hard
Fuck
for
'em.
you to say. Andy,
Oceanographic. I don't know.
what US state appeared on the license plate that was pulled from the other shark's stomach?
Louisiana.
Correct.
Ah, fuck.
It's not 0-0, thank God. All right. Question 3 for Chris. When does Amity Island's 50th annual regatta start?
4th of July?
Correct. Andy, question number 3. When does Amity Island's 50th annual regatta end?
7th of July.
No, it was the 10th of July, unfortunately.
Ah.
It's
I was
a
going to guess August, so.
Chris has got the easy questions, I'm afraid, I think, here. Chris, your final question. What is Quint's boat called?
Oh, the
Ah.
Orca.
The Orca. All right. Andy, to tie up, and I'm going to have to quickly get a tiebreaker, which I think I found. Andy, how many barrels are attached to the shark in total?
3.
It was 4, so don't need a tiebreaker question. They fired 1, and then it got rid of that one, and then they put 3 into it, so it was 4 in total.
Oh, that's a trick question. I thought like the maximum was on the shark at one time, and it was 3.
In total, how many barrels were attached to the shark? It was 4. So,
What was
No.
the thingy question?
There was 3 attached at
Oh.
one time.
at one time, I was like, there was another one, so there was 4 in total attached.
No, there was only ever 3 attached. There was 1 attached, then there was 3 attached.
Hence 4.
Shenanigans.
Okay. Well,
There was never 4 attached.
Chris had a trick question as well. So Chris wins 2-1 on the podcast list.
Bullshit.
You did well for forfeiting in the beginning there, Andy. On to point 6. Movies within movies. Difficult for me with my parodies and references because this came out in 1975 and there's not much that went beforehand. Treasure Island and Moby Dick were things that were mentioned, so I've gone for them. But essentially the way that Quint is introduced as being a weird fisherman guy in the corner telling you a tale of the seas and all that stuff, about a million times since then that has happened, I would say.
I'm sorry, I'm having like technical difficulties. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can
We
hear
can
you,
hear
Chris.
Yeah,
I
we can
can't
hear
hear
you.
you.
Right.
Yeah, fuck that.
Well,
Uh,
I heard a funny noise and Chris has disappeared. So he may come
Carry on.
back. But we'll carry on. Never not good. Like I say, the one shot take is amazing, but I've gone, someone being eaten is never not good. If a human being is eaten by an animal, it is always a thumbs up from me, no matter how it appears. We'll jump over Chris, because I'm not sure if he's
okay,
back.
I'm not here. I'm here.
Oh, we
not
can hear
here.
you. Right. Chris, your movies are the movies, please.
Nobody, as far as I can tell, is returning.
Same. I didn't do a deep dive, but yeah, I couldn't
A
see
lot
anyone.
of people sadly passed away before our next film of Aliens, so
Yeah, that was a hindrance to them showing up again.
as for putting us into the film, Andy is obviously Quint. It's fairly obvious. I put Bruce. I could have put Bruce as a shark, but I made you Roper because I made us the 3 men in the boat. And I'm definitely Chief Brody.
I've gone exactly opposite from you then, if that makes sense, for 3. But I made me Brody because I think Andy is the tech guy for the podcast, so therefore he should be the technological guy when it comes to the movie. So he's Hooper, and then you're usually the one that's hammered. It may be Andy this week. He may normally you're the drunk and the wild card, and Quint is like the quintessential, no pun intended, wild card, I would say. So yeah, I went different,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think all three of us in some way or another could be all three of them. I think might be the best way to put it. But yeah, Andy, talking of recasting, I'm sure you've got a couple of ideas.
Right, I'm going to recast Bruce. So as the shark, Bruce. I'm going to take the shark out,
Huh?
and then I'm going to drop in another Bruce, but it's Bruce from Shark Tale.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a
Oh, there's a Bruce in Finding Nemo as well.
Yeah,
There's-
Finding Nemo, yeah.
Oh, I find Nemo, I mean, not Shark Tale. Shark Tale's a mafia. No, I meant
That's
Bruce.
why it's called Bruce.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's just a big friendly shark, and he doesn't actually mean to hit anybody, and people just keep getting away from him. It'd make this film so much happier.
I think so. That's what we were saying earlier on. The idea of just if we can make a full animatronic shark nowadays, we could just do a full 3D animated shark.
What I would have done is, instead of taking the shark out, I would have added human teeth. So every time he came up the water, he's just smiling at you.
Yeah, sharks' teeth are weird. I've seen pictures of that.
Okay.
You should see that with fun.
It's like sharks having ice cream. That's funny as well.
Yeah, yes. I nearly replied with a different one, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, we better get a hustle on. I feel like we're running behind time, but I've no idea. Andy, your trigger warning, 0.7 on the podcast.
Right. Okay. This one's one that Chris might be able to relate to more than us. However, bad parenting. It just annoys me. Like, this film was just full of bad parents everywhere. Every person on that beach with a kid was a bad parent. You should not have done that. And then, when there was a shark, rather than picking up the kids, helping them, like Chris said, they were throwing them off the line. They were trampling on the kids, pushing them out of the way. It's just, what happened to the world? Like, even back then, just bad parents, and it just annoys me.
I
Bad
don't understand
parents.
why Brody was like, boys, don't go out on your boat. There's a shark out there. Go over there to the pond where the shark can still get into it. Like, it's not like it's an actual pond. There's a full-on bridge over the sea that gets into it. It's like, I don't know why he thought that was going to keep the shark out. But yeah, bad parenting is a trigger for me in real life, Andy, as well. I'll say, yeah.
I can tell you it's a trigger for parents as well.
I'll bet, yeah.
There's so many bell-ends out there now. It's just like people now use like any slight bit of autism or disability. Oh, my kid's autistic. It's like, but is it? Or are you a bad parent? Because I reckon 99.9% of kids with autism don't have autism. They've just got bad fucking parents.
I've been raised right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like,
That's my trigger.
Andy's sermon of the week here. what grinds my gears?
It's pretty much where this point is.
I made, because I remember last week was it last week? Whenever we did a film where everybody was white. What film was it we did?
That was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh, this one's maybe got a chance as well. But there was
No,
one
there
black woman on the beach.
Yeah.
So they made sure, right, we need to get one black person in this. We don't want to be called out as racists. So yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you might go down the same route this time.
No, just bad parents, just in general, just they're annoying me.
And I cannot argue whatsoever.
Okay.
Bit on to point number 8, our nominations for the Pointy Awards. Andy always accuses me of stealing his, so why don't you lead off with a few, Andy?
Good, because I don't have many. I'll go for the Michael Pena Award. Is the story about the atom bomb, all that stuff.
I
Undoubtedly.
agree with that.
That's definitely there.
That's your favourite, I think. That one.
Best prop or inanimate object, I'm going to go for Bruce the Shark.
I was wondering about that. Yeah, does he count as
Yeah,
best inanimate?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
You could tell he's a puppet at some stages, so he's not sentient. No, he's acting like a sentient being, but he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best actor in the film.
Best score. I'm going to say best song. I'm going to put best score in it.
Yeah, I've got that.
If I have to pick a song, it's the do.
The actual Jaws theme, I'm assuming it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, the score itself's really good.
It's got to be one of the top 5 most iconic movie songs.
Yeah.
Worst plan. Every single fucking thing. It was just everything was full of worst plans. I can't even single out a worst plan, but if I've got to pick out one, is don't go shark hunting and then get fucking hammered at night.
Yeah, I've got Quintus' worst plan, as in he's the one that's being paid to have a plan. He doesn't have an absolute, like, iota of a plan of what he's doing. He's like, me hunt shark. That's his plan. Like,
And then worst parent, I'm going to go for the Sheriff Brody because he just, like you said, kids, don't go in the sea. You can go play over there in your boat. Shark still goes in there.
also kind of in the sea. I've got question mark as to Brody for worst father figure. I feel like Chris is usually our go-to guy for worst father figure. Would you have Brody? Is there someone better, or is he a good father figure?
Oh fuck, I don't know actually. Him or like this the mayor, because the mayor said his kids were in the water as well.
Fair
And he's
point.
walking about to try to force more people in the water.
Yeah, the mayor might be an argument for that, I would say. I still think Brody, because kind of him going off on the boat to get the shark is very similar to Matthew McConaughey getting in the spaceship in Interstellar. Like,
Yeah.
I need to do this. I don't care about you, because they could just like not like have the kids go in the sea anymore. Like, it doesn't have to. The shark is not going to come into their house and get them. Like, the kids are fine.
That's a different film. We see the shark walking in. I missed you on the boat. Yeah, Shiv.
So I think I might keep my nomination for Brody too. I'll run through the rest of mine before we get on to Chris's. Best death has to be Quint. Him getting eaten alive with a shark is amazing. Worst costume came out of nowhere, but I'm definitely nominating it. The mayor's baby blue suit that has little anchors all over it. What a horrendous looking suit it was. I don't think it was ever fashionable. And I've got one more down to Quint's, Michael Pena for definite. Oh, here we go. Best bell end. Now the mayor has to win. Like, he is an all-time film villain for him, what he does. But he's just like, it was so close. The two kids swimming with the fake fin the day after, freaking the whole town out. They are second best bell ends. They are the losers by like an absolute hair. They had to be. I had to get them in. Total pricks. Okay, Chris, your nominations.
Well, I agree with the best song. The song score. I'm going for best actor as Robert Shaw, just because of the way he seems like I don't know, he's playing himself kind of thing. He just edges out Richard Dreyfuss. Just.
I think Richard Dreyfuss must have been hilarious in the 70s. I don't find him that funny now watching this film again. Like, he was definitely comic relief back then, but now he's just like, oh, you're just a bit of a kind of weirdo, like a little bit weirdo. But yeah, I think back then he'd have been the hilarious. Oh my god, he was such a good supporting actor.
I think that's why Robert Shaw didn't like him, because he was old school, and he was obviously new school coming through. My specific worst plan was the mayor keeping the beaches open and getting more people killed.
Yeah.
And then this leads on to my biggest bell end, is him doing that.
Yeah. It's an all-time bell end.
Yeah. I agree with you with the Michael Pena award. I'm going to slightly different with the best death. I'll concede Quint's death here, but my death was a sailing instructor, that one behind you, because it's the first time you get to see the shark proper.
Yeah.
And you're fucking taken back by the sheer size of it. It's massive.
I feel there was a weird bit where you just see the leg falling to the bottom of the ocean, and then they pull the kid up on the beach, and you can't see his bottom half yet. At any point did I never thought his leg was off. I always thought it was the guy who got attacked. I thought they got away safe. It seemed like a really weird kind of fake out, where I was like, I know he's fine, and then oh yeah, he is fine. It just like that was one bit where I'd question Spielberg and be like, I didn't quite do that properly. But yeah, the second best death is definitely him.
Yeah, my last bit is the best fashion item. I've created a new one. Is Quint's shark sleeping bag.
I like it. I think we had best costume, so best fashion item.
Yeah, his new shark sleeping bag, which he forgot to take the teeth out and killed him.
Yeah. Best fashion item. There we go. So that's for future episodes.
I'll just pick random shit from that one.
If that was there, I might have nominated the suit for best fashion item. It's certainly something. Anyway, I'll give it a worse costume than now. Point 9 on the podcast, the moral of the story. Andy, what lessons did you learn from Jaws?
Don't go in the sea. Bad.
Stay out of the water, I've got.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've got. Stay out of the water.
I think that's the most single unanimous moral that this film has a message. On to point 10 then, easily as that. The 10-point rating, rate the movie out of 10 points. I picked, so I go first. I forgot about that. I haven't written a wee blurb here. It's a classic, it's great, it's influenced a lot of films since then. It's a very 1970s of chunks where not much is happening. they do build the Shaw character. I didn't quite connect to him that well, but he's meant to be a bit crazy. It's great. I love, as we talked about, even Andy's praising the director, so that tells you something about the film. So I'm going to go as high as an 8 out of 10, but I can't give it a really, really good score because I don't think it's not quite there for me. So I'll give it an 8 for Jaws. I've got Andy next, just because I had alphabetical order. So Andy, why don't you go next?
Right. I kind of agree with pretty much all you say, other than your score.
Right.
It is a classic. This film has a potential to be an 8. However, I did see another film which is an 8. So this film will not get an 8. So this film for me gets a 5. However, if you want an 8, you watch The Meg.
I knew you were going to say The Meg. The minute you said another film, I was like, it's The Meg.
It's Jason Statham and a shark way bigger than this one. It's a banger. Proper good film, but this is a classic. I'll give it some props.
I'm going to go back and find all the times you've said, I like this film, but there's a better one, and I'm going to pick them all one season, and we're going to find out.
To honest to God, this season I was originally going to do that as an idea, so whoever I followed, you pick Jaws, I pick The Meg.
Meg, right.
I would pick a better, a film that I find better. I was going to do that, but...
I mean, if you had done The Meg next, it would be like, is that a coincidence and a half? Yeah, we might have been on to you from the beginning. Anyway, Chris, what's your score?
I absolutely love Jaws. I think older films like this get forgotten by like newer generation people. It's an absolute classic. It's a must watch. I quite agree with you. Like there's points where nothing's happening and it's kind of a bit boring, but it's not a perfect film. So I can't agree with you. I can't go any higher than an 8. It gets an 8 for me as well.
Yeah, I think it's tough for me because I pause a lot to write notes and put things and check things and all that. So I do extend most films I watch by an extra half hour, which means that if it is over 2 hours, it tends to drag on for me. So therefore, I need bits to keep me interested in between.
Do you not do like a first run through of not doing anything, and then?
I do that sometimes. I do that sometimes if I haven't seen it. Say you picked a film I'd never seen before, I would watch it and I'd write a lot of notes as I do it. But then I would pretty much in the read up to doing the podcast, I'd put it on again to check on things and just if anything picked up to me. But if I've seen it before, I don't want to go through it twice again, doing it again. And I feel like
I go through like 2-3 times a week.
you used to famously fall asleep to most of them. So
See, I'm a one take type of guy. I'll watch it once and that's it.
Well, we know every time Andy
you
watches
have to watch it again because there's bits that you miss.
No, because every time I watch, this would be a 4 if I watched it again, or it could be a 3 because I'll be bored of it.
Yeah.
I'm a one take type of dude.
Yeah.
One and done.
There we go. So at least we've got 3 different ways to watch the film. At least it gives us a lot of perspective on it, if nothing else. I haven't done the final score, and you gave me loads of time to count up the score there, and I didn't. So that and that is that. So I would say that's a 7, a solid 7 for Jaws. That's a high score from us. Nothing has ever got above an 8, and only one film ever got an 8 from us as a podcast.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a segue. The next film ain't getting that high.
Right. See, I mean, did either of you want a guess at what my theme is on the back of one movie? I don't know.
Is it Moobs?
Damn, you got it. No, it wasn't Moobs.
Things that are bigger than normal. The shark is bigger than most other sharks.
No, that was my never not good for Honey I Shrunk the Kids though. Having small things that are big.
Yeah.
But no, that is not my theme. Some guesses, I'll say neither of them are a good guess, as it were.
Okay.
But thank you. Yes, on to Andy's segue. It is not a 7 out of 10, he says. Andy, what is our film for next week?
Right. Well, I've decided to go back to my traditional grassroots. However, I've influenced. Shut up. Let me build this up.
Right, sorry.
Right. So, I've decided to pick an actor we've not done and has been massively overshadowed and should have been done. So, that's a plus. It's got loads of stuff to talk about. It could be a 2-hour podcast because it's going to blow Bruce's mind. I don't think he's seen it.
Right.
It's from 1994.
Oh, just 1 year out.
It's the action thriller of Street Fighter, the movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh, shit, son. I've never watched that either.
I certainly haven't.
It stars Kylie Minogue, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and Ming-Na Wen, and it's going to be a coke-fueled bender next week.
Oh, sounds amazing. Is Kylie Minogue the actor that we've overlooked?
Yes.
Yeah, you have mentioned this film to me passing. I'm obviously aware of Street Fighter, but yes, I confirm I don't think I've ever seen a bit of this. Never mind the whole thing. So
Oh,
yeah.
you're in for a treat.
Fresh
You thought
eyes.
that was a roller coaster. This came out a year before Mortal Kombat.
Right.
That fixed all the mistakes this film made.
Ah, okay. Mortal Kombat was a bit up and down. So yes,
Alright.
awesome. There we are. If I knew any Mortal Kombat, no, if I knew any Street Fighter puns or references, I would slip them in the outro here. So
I'm joking. That's the only one I know.
there you go. You have 7 days to find Street Fighter and watch that and come back to us on your podcast app or on YouTube on the 10 Point Podcast.